Hello folks, Pastor Mike Hoggard here, pastor of Bethel Church in Festus, Missouri, and head of prophetic research ministry with another Watchman video broadcast. You know, we learn something new every day from this administration, President Obama. One of the things that we've learned this week is that the best way in the world to not get terrorized, invaded, harmed, injured, blown up by your enemies is to show them where all your weapons are. Show them how you make them. Show them how you shoot them off in the air. In fact, show them just about everything that you have. That way they'll be friendly to you because they'll know all your secrets, right? Check this out. Obama announces U.S. military secrets to the world. President Obama has decided to pre-announce to the world once secret American ballistic missile tests and satellite launches. The Democratic administration's goal is to show a friendlier face to other countries and to coax Russia to do the same. Yeah, right. It's part of a confidence-boosting initiative launched, so to speak, last fall when Obama suddenly abandoned the U.S. missile defense system in Eastern Europe that had exercised the Russians, though it was aimed at potential future missiles from Iran. Obama hoped such a unilateral U.S. forfeiture would encourage Russia to put pressure on Iran to halt its nuclear weapons development. So far, no good on that. Of course, the point of secret tests by any state in an insecure, suspicious world is to deny advance notice to potential enemies, making it more difficult, if not impossible, for them to gain intelligence by monitoring the test themselves. I'm going to add this story to another story. Let's see here. Yeah, a couple of them I have. And then I'm going to give what I consider to be a dangerous comment. Okay, I consider it to be a dangerous comment. I want you to listen to this. This is all happening just this week. Obama promises a new world order at military academy graduation. On Saturday, President Barack Obama took center stage during graduation ceremonies for the U.S. Military Academy's class of 2010 and preached his message, that's a good way to put it, for the creation of a new international is many nations together. That would be the world. So this is a new world order. A creation of a new international order to about 1,000 new officers. President Obama pledged to shape a new international order based on global cooperation and partnerships that address not just military, but also, here it is, economic and environmental challenges. Mark my word, at some point, if these powers that be continue to move on, they will be using the military prowess of the United States and all the nations of the world, including Russia, if they cooperate. Of course, we extend to them a nice hand and show them where all our weapons are. And of course, Russia is going to cooperate with us, because that's what they've been doing for the last 60 years. But anyway, I guarantee you that this has everything to do with enforcing new economic rules that are going into place, global economic rules. Tim Geithner is now trying to find a consensus of cooperation amongst the world's nations about how we can better bank our money and impose new strict, and they use the word conservative, and that's funny coming from liberals, conservative rules, which means dictatorial rules in their eyes, of global partnership. So this goes back to Revelation. We keep quoting this verse all the time because there are some pivotal verses in the Bible. Of course, all the Bible's real, but there are pivotal verses in the Bible, I think, that you can see things out in the world and you can look here and go, yep, this is that which was spoken by the prophet. And we know at some point, because we study the Bible, we study Mystery Babylon, we study the beast, we know that these entities are concerned about controlling money. That's like most of where their head is they want to control all the money. So here it is, Obama's telling these fresh young West Point graduates that, instead of going out and fighting a war over our country and over our freedoms and over this and that and the other, you can expect in your future to be fighting over some banker's money. That's incentive. Or fighting over the fact that somebody's driving a car with a little too much smoke coming out. We're going to fight a war over that one. And we're going to get international cooperation. You're telling these military graduates, these military men that have trained, and you can say what you want to about the shape of our country, but I will tell you that in my opinion, our military schools still train the best of the very best. These are the bravest, the smartest, most intelligent young men and women that I think our country can produce. And they're wanting to go. I guarantee you, these people at West Point didn't show up and say, "Why are you here?" I want to serve the New World Order. I want to be part of the United Nations. I want global peace everywhere. They showed up because they wanted to stand up and fight for their country. That's what they're doing. Here's another one. This is just this week. In fact, this was Friday. Congress has taken 2 big steps toward ending the don't ask, don't tell ban on gays and lesbians serving openly in the military. In quick succession Thursday, the Senate Armed Services Committee and the full House approved measures to repeal the 1993 law that allows gay people to serve in the armed forces only if they hide their sexual orientation. Now, if you remember, this goes back to the days of Bill Clinton. Prior to that, it was not allowed for you to be an open homosexual or lesbian inside the military, inside the armed forces of the United States of America. They said it's just not a good idea. It won't work. And so there was a policy against it. And so now Bill Clinton comes out and says, well, we're going to change it. This is step 1. Remember, everything that they do operates in levels and in steps. And so the step during the Clinton years was, it's okay if we don't ask, you don't tell. We'll let you go ahead and be part of that, only we won't say anything if you don't say anything about it. And so now they've gotten to a point where Obama, he has pledged. In fact, he ran as a candidate pledging to repeal don't ask, don't tell. And now here he is. He's forcing Congress to do it. And they said that Congress is going to go along with it. Oh, look here, right at the top of the list, Democrat Nancy Pelosi from San Francisco leading the charge here to repeal this thing so that, and you know, forgive me if my mind wanders, but isn't this going to open up a Pandora's box of things inside the military that really should not be in the military? In fact, they shouldn't be anywhere else. But now they're going to open up in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. That would give me incentive to join. And I'm telling you, these 3 stories here, and there's several others. Let me tell you something that I think is dangerous for me to say. And I don't say that too often, but I think this is dangerous for me to say. In the past 3 months, I've read 2 articles. I won't tell you where I read them. They were comments. They were commentaries from a website, 2 different places, that expressed a concern. I don't know if they had secret knowledge. I don't know if they had insider knowledge. I don't know any of that. I know that they expressed a concern, what could be a legitimate concern, that there are forces inside the Pentagon, the armed forces, the upper echelons of the military complex in this country that are not very happy at all with the president that we have right now. I mean, they're not as happy as most other people in this country are not happy. To what extent they're not happy, I don't know. Now, this is not a country where we have military coups every 3 hours. We just don't do that here in America. We love the fact that we are civil, that we have laws, that we have rules, that we have guidelines, that we have stipulations. We have all of these things in place. But can we not see a move away in this country amongst the morality of the American citizen, amongst the morality of most people in this country, a move away even from civility and legal discourse? We are moving away from those things. And I hope you understand what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm just telling you that the two things that I read in the past 3 months, they kind of give me pause to think what could happen if certain top leaders, unnamed, I don't know who they are, I don't study these things, in our military became so totally dissatisfied with the current administration and current government of our country. We have to ask ourselves a legitimate question. What could happen? I mean, you have all the gays in the military thing. Most of these military brass people are saying, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. It's Barney Frank and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and Barack Obama that are pushing this, and they're forcing this agenda down the military throat. Here we have Barack Obama standing up in front of West Point, the very best of the best that this country has to offer, standing there telling them, and in the future, you're not going to fight for your country. You're going to fight for global warming. You're going to fight to protect the financial interest of a lot of rich people in the world that are not American citizens. That's what you're going to be fighting for in the future. And by the way, you're not going to be under the United States of America. You're going to be under the United Nations. We have on top of that, all of that, the questions, the legitimate questions by at least some in the military of the eligibility of the President of the United States. I think it's something to be watched. I think it's something to pray about. I think it's something that we as Christians, number one, should be spiritually minded about. And number two, as American Christians, we should be legitimately concerned about the future of our country. Somebody sent me this. I got another update on this oil rig thing. And, I hate to keep beating a dead horse in the ground. But let me do this. I study numbers. In fact, we have... If you want to make sense out of anything that I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes, I really encourage you to get a copy of the Babel Conspiracy, however you want to pronounce it, potato. And there's a video that goes along with it, the Babel Conspiracy, 9/11, 2012, and beyond. And it occurred to me last night that, you remember the events that took place September 11th, 2001, literally a paradigm shift in this country. We were paradigm shifted in this country. We were brought one step closer to a new world order. And what I establish in this book, and I think the evidence speaks for itself, is that the things that I call a group Illuminati, I don't know who they are, but illuminated people who know the plan and who know the secret and who know what they're doing, and they're doing it for that reason. They operate in patterns. They do. They really do. Spirits, I believe, operate in patterns. And these patterns I lay down in here. And it occurred to me last night that, everybody's talking about 2012. 2012. That from September 11th, 2001, and I talk about the number 11 in this particular video and book, that from 2001 to 2012, when the world's going to end and all this stuff, that's 11 years. That is a pattern of 11. And I'm not saying that the Lord's going to come back in 2012. I don't think He is. But what I'm telling you is that all this hoopla is being made about 2012, and I think plans are in the work. And I think it fits a predetermined pattern, and it's a pattern that we don't have to ask the Illuminati to reveal to us. All we have to do is ask God. And we go to the Word of God, and we go to numerics, Genesis chapter 11, and that is the Tower of Babel, the story of Tower of Babel. Incidentally, the number 11 is a number for confusion in the Bible. And so here in Genesis chapter 11, we have confusion. We have the efforts of man to build his own way to heaven. We have... And I want you to think about all the possible ramifications of that, the elevation of man, the evolution of man, and so on. That work was cut off by God because God saw the imaginations of man, and He said whatever they imagine to do, that's what they're going to do. And there's a lot that goes into this. But if you remember, we talked about this thing happened, this oil rig explosion happened on May 20th. Now, I have, certain dates that I just kind of watch to see what's going to happen on those days, and May 20th is one of those. That is the 110th day of the year, which is 11 times 10. The Twin Towers were 110 stories tall, okay, on September 11th, 2001. There's a number 11 there, Flight 11 flying into this. Muhammad Atta, the pilot behind this plane, was exactly 33 years old. Timothy McVeigh was 33 years old when they killed him. Who else was 33? David Koresh was 33 years old. You're starting to get a pattern here. You're starting to see things. Pope John Paul I was Pope for exactly 33 days. He was murdered in his sleep, people. Murdered in his sleep 33 days after he became Pope. So watch this now. Here's a new article. It came out May 27th this year. And somebody brought it to my attention. I appreciate that. I think it was Chad up in Detroit. But I want to read this article here, and I want you to see this. And I want to skip the first two paragraphs and go to the fourth paragraph. Said Douglas Brown is talking about this big, supposedly there was a big argument. Big knockdown, drag out argument on this oil rig, and everybody's trying to find out what was going on here just before the explosion. Now, here's the article, and I want you to look at it. Douglas H. Brown, Transocean's chief mechanic on the Deepwater Horizon rig, said key representatives from both companies had a skirmish during an 11 a.m. meeting on April 20th. Less than 11 hours later, the well had a blowout, an uncontrolled release of oil gas, killing 11 workers. Now, here's what I want you to get. And we're going to add all this up here in a minute. It said during an 11 a.m. meeting. Now, I think that is a generalized way of describing about what time the meeting started. So they had to put in the 11 here. Less than 11 hours later, they had to put that 11 in too. They could have said, just over 10 hours, but they didn't. They said 11. And then we have 11 workers killed. 11, 11, 11, 33. The 110th day of the year, that's 11 times 10. And then we talked about the BP symbol and all the things that are going on here. And as of today, I'm doing this broadcast on Saturday, May 29th, I don't want to do it on my birthday. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to eat cake if my wife will make me a cake. I think she will. But anyway, as of today, they still have not stopped the flow of oil. And they're now telling it's the worst oil catastrophe that's ever happened in the whole world and all this stuff. The worst catastrophe, big catastrophic event that is going to destroy who knows how. And who knows, now listen to this, here's what we look for. Who knows what plan is waiting in the wings to make sure that this never happens again. That's what September 11th was all about. It was about implementing certain rules and certain things in this country and probably around the world to basically spy out, the Patriot Act that still is in existence today. It was all about that and much more. So I just wanted to throw that in here. Here's something related to September 11th. As a result of what happened September 11th, now we have the TSA, which is Transportation Security Administration, keeps watch list of peeved travelers. Now I won't read this whole article, but basically the article says, and I saw this on the news the other night, that basically if you show up at the airport, and you go to the airport, and being at the airport now is not the best of all experiences. Thank God that they have Starbucks there, okay? And so, but you go to the airport and you have to take off your shoes, which I absolutely hate. Taking off my shoes. I can't stand to take off my shoes. I have my shoes on right now, okay? I'm just telling you, I hate to take my shoes off. But you got to go up there, take off your shoes. You have to voluntarily submit to some man or some woman feeling you up at the airport, checking you out. Now it's got to the point, now we show up there and there might just be a big machine that can see through all your clothes. And we're supposed to show up there and be in a good mood. You show up there, I carry my satchel with my laptop in there, stuff like that. They say, we're going to have to go through that. And they start pulling everything that you own out of there. There's no privacy at the airport, none, zero. And so now you show up there and you're not the happiest of all people in the world. And you make a growl or a snicker or a snide comment or you complain or they're going to write your name down on a list. And you're on their list. I think that's ignorant. I think it's absolutely, absolutely ignorant. We're going to be getting into some heavy DNA stuff. A lot of things have come across my desk this week, but this is really sticking out. Several of you have noticed that there is a new movie coming out in the month of June called Splice. And I want you to take a look. This is an article from WorldNet Daily, and I want you to take a look at just a graphic here, a clip of this movie. And the article says, human-animal hybrids in life versus death struggle. Science fiction fantasy becomes reality in labs. Now I'm going to stop right here. Getting back to Genesis 11, I want to read verse 6, okay? The Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing, listen to this, this is God talking. Nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Here is the imagination right here, and the imagination is becoming reality. The article says, in what may seem more like Hollywood science fiction plot, as in the forthcoming movie Splice, lawmakers are trying to prevent scientists from combining human and animal embryos to make human-animal hybrids. In Splice, two scientists defy ethical boundaries and splice together human and animal DNA to create a new organism, also known as a chimera. Now, I want to stop right here because I will tell you, and I don't have inside knowledge. Nobody from a secret government lab has come to me in a cloak and a hat, covering their face saying, I have inside information concerning this. I'm just telling you, I think I can figure things out and tell you that more than likely this has already been done. Okay? I don't have proof. I'm just taking a guess, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty good guess. And I'm pretty sure it's already been done. But anyway, here's what the article goes on to say. While the idea of such an experiment may seem far-fetched, scientists around the world have been dabbling in the creation of human-animal hybrids for years. Today, Ohio's Senate Health, Human Services, and Aging Committee passed Senate Bill 243, a ban on human-animal hybrids. The bill prohibits human cloning, the creation, transportation, or receipt of a human-animal hybrid, the transfer of a non-human embryo into a human womb, and the transfer of a human embryo into a non-human womb. Mark Harrington, the Executive Director for the Center for Bioethical Reform Midwest, President of the Pro-Life Institute, presented expert testimony. He said, we all want to see treatments for sickness. He said, we all want to see cures for diseases, but the question is, at what price? He added, I'm becoming more and more convinced when it comes to emerging biotechnologies like human-animal hybrids that many of these researchers do not believe in any limits on research as long as it has the possibility to produce an economic end that suits their agenda. Scientists have had some success with human-animal hybrid experience. In 2003, Chinese scientists at the Shanghai Second Medical University fused human cells with rabbit embryos. According to the National Geographic News, the embryos were given several days to develop before the scientists destroyed them to harvest stem cells. I don't believe that. I don't believe that they were all destroyed. According to the report, researchers at the Mayo Clinic, see, I always thought the Mayo Clinic was where they made mayonnaise. You know, I guess I was wrong. Mayo Clinic in Minnesota were able to create pigs with human blood flowing through their bodies in 2004. Now, I will tell you, there is a watcher that lives up in Minnesota that he is knowledgeable of the big military genetic complex that exists in Minnesota. Apparently it's huge. And he's telling me, he said, Pastor Mike, be watching for this stuff to come out of Minnesota. He was right. Here it is right here. He said scientists feel that, in fact, you know what? Go take a look at the new bridge that they put in Minneapolis. You know, the one that, accidentally fell on I-35. Go take a look at the new bridge they put up there, and there's two symbols on each end of that bridge. Google that and you'll see what I'm talking about. Scientists feel that more human-like the animal, the better research model it makes for testing drugs or possibly growing spare parts. What, like a chicken wing? Such as livers to transplant into humans. National Geographic reported, watching how human cells mature and interact in a living creature may also lead to the discoveries of new medical treatments. Now I'm going to stop reading right here because it's, boy, we are in a brave new world. You stop and think about the ramifications of animal-human hybrids, and I've been teaching about this for several years. See, I'm looking for examples here. I should have the video here. I want you to get our set of, there's a 3-video set, Jesus Christ DNA, the Holy Bible. It shows you beyond any doubt whatsoever that our DNA is linked exclusively with this Bible right here. God wrote our DNA, and God said, don't change it. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And then we have the one following that called the Mother of All Secrets. This is part of the biggest agenda that Dan Brown's part of, and I'll put Albert Pike up here. This book, 800 some odd pages, loaded with symbolisms from the late 1800s, and I'm telling you that what we're seeing scientifically today was written about here, imagined by Pike and by many others over countless centuries. And I'm telling you, we're getting close to the time where God's going to have to come down. Remember, God came down in Genesis chapter 11. He's coming down again, and He's going to have to put a stop to this. And I want you to look at some scriptures here talking about mixing different breeds of animals. Leviticus 19:19, ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Remember, Baphomet is an image of mingling two things together. God said, keep them separate. I don't want them to have anything to do with you. It's kind of like me and my sister on a trip to Arkansas. Mom had to put me on one side and my sister on the other. She didn't want us mingling. Why? Because we were going to fight for 6 hours in the car all the way down there. She didn't want it, and God doesn't want that happening either. So I want you to think about this stuff. And he said here in this verse, not only don't let your cattle gender with a diverse kind, like people, thou shalt not sow thy field with what? Mingled seed. Look at this. Monsanto's seeds of discord. It's fascinating because we're in uncharted territory, says the genial Scottish. That is like the worst Scottish accent I've ever. I can't do a Scottish accent. It's fascinating because we're in uncharted territory, says the genial Scottish, entertainingly named Hugh Grant, 52. He is the CEO of Monsanto, possibly America's most feared corporation. Monsanto dominates the agricultural biotechnology industry, whose audacious mission is to transform the genetic composition of the world's food supply. More than 80%, watch this, more than 80% of the soybeans and cotton harvested in this country now have at least one patented Monsanto gene in them, as does more than 70% of the field corn. Monsanto is the company best known, depending on which documentary film one has seen, for feeding what's called frankenfoods to our children, courting ecological catastrophe, or bringing ruinous patent suits against struggling family farmers. So Monsanto, simply put, has been mingling seed for years. They've been genetically modifying seeds. And this, I'm telling you, this is not conspiracy theory, folks. This is conspiracy fact. Remember, the people who believe in conspiracy theories are not the dangerous ones. The people who are the conspirators are. Monsanto is one of the most powerful entities in this country. And if you think that they don't have any control or say of what goes on inside the halls of Congress and the United States government, you're crazy. There's something wrong with you. This is what, it's not we the people. It's we the corporations in this country. And Monsanto is monkeying around with something that God said don't monkey around with. And it's like, well, what God made's not good enough. We're going to do better. We're going to do better than God, is what they're saying. And I don't know. I don't know how to escape living in the world today and not eating something that hasn't been messed with by some factory somewhere. I don't know how to do it. Grow your own corn, but where are you going to get the seed? How do you know that seed's not been messed? I'm just telling you, it's impossible to live in this world without being a partaker of the filthiness of this world. That's why we have heaven. We have the cross of Jesus Christ. Look at Ezra chapter 9. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons. This was when they came back from the land of captivity. They had intermarried, and God said, don't do that. Don't marry those people, because I have to keep my seed pure. Why does he have to keep his seed pure? Not because God's a racist, not because God hates black people. It's because that the line of the Messiah had to come from the seed of Abraham, and the devil has been trying everything he can. Watch this. This is the conspiracy here. He's been trying everything he can to destroy the seed of Abraham, both of the Jews and of those who adopted in by faith. So he says, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers hath been chief in this trespass. Daniel chapter 2 verse 43, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Now we know who that is. We know that that's not, the Turks. We know it's not the Europeans. It's not the European Union. It is the principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. Demonic angels are going to mingle themselves with the seed of men. In fact, all I did was I looked at in the Bible for the words mingle and seed together in the same verse. 3 places, and this is where it leads you to. And I'm telling you, this is where we're headed. Now, we brought this verse up before, and I'll be honest with you, there's some laws that people need and some laws that I personally don't. You never had to have a law. You never had to tell me, Mike, it's against the law for you to lie with an animal. Never had to tell me, I don't need a law. It's written into my heart. I don't need that already. But God included it in the law for a reason. Look at it. Leviticus chapter 18. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is what? Confusion. That's the number 11. Now we're back to the Tower of Babel. They speak 46 words, the number of chromosomes in the human genome structure. And all of this has to do, you say, are people going to mate with cows? And that's going to, what I'm telling you is these principalities and powers, And these are all beasts. They're beasts. Go look at the scripture. Go look at Ezekiel chapter 1. Go look at Revelation chapter 4. Look at who the devil is. He's not a man. He's a dragon. He's a beast. He's a serpent. The Bible characterizes him that way. In Daniel chapter 7, I saw these beasts rise up. These are spiritual entities. These are fallen angels. And God wrote a law. Said don't sleep with them. Don't have anything to do with them. So what happens? Genesis chapter 6. I mean, you know what happened. Let me finish reading here. He said, it's confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these things the nation is defiled, which I cast out before you. In other words, we know it happened in the land of Canaan after the flood, because when they go into Canaan land, what do they see? They see the result of the fusion of the sons of God and the daughters of men. They see giants everywhere. They see grapes, clusters of grapes. They see things there that are humongous. Looks like a little DNA modification was taking place back then as well. And he said, and the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Now I'm going to stop right here. And I want you to think about this word vomit in the scripture. And I want you to think about somebody that spews something out in the book of Revelation. Here's Jesus, and he's speaking of the church of the last days, the Laodicean church. And he says, I would that thee were either hot or cold. But you're not hot or cold. You're not one or the other. You've been fused together. So now that you are the mingled between hot and cold, you are lukewarm, and therefore I will spew you out of my mouth. Isn't this Bible an amazing book? He said, the land vomited out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them, shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God. He is establishing his authority in the heart of his people, saying, don't do it. I'm warning you right now, if you do it, this land is going to spew you out. Get ready, folks. Get ready. Here's an article that goes with it from the Daily Galaxy. Creation of Earth's first synthetic life. Could there be unintended consequences? Yeah, there could be. Now, I want us to look at this whole concept, and I'm just going to run through this very quickly, and we're going to get out of here because I have other videos to record today. Got a new video coming out on contemplative prayer, and be watching for that. So I start looking, I'm amazed. I'm amazed now at how many products, how much marketing, how much advertising is done geared toward getting people to visualize evolution, hybridization, fusion together. I mean, elements. You can just go up and down the stores of Walmart, Target, Kmart, Costco, wherever you're going to go, watch commercials, look at billboards, see signs everywhere. I'm telling you that all of a sudden now we're being jammed with these ideas of hybridization, evolution, fusion, infusion, and it's everywhere. It's in marketing. Here's General Electric. They even have a train that's called their Evolution Hybrid. Good grief. Here's one. This is a set of luggage called Fuse X3 Hybrid. I mean, they're like using all of them there. Fuse and the X chromosome and 3-strand DNA and hybrid all together. You can even get a doggy shirt with an alien on it that says hybrid power. You say, "Oh, come on, Pastor Mike, are you? I think this is from Zazzle.com. They sell T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. Are you saying the people in Zazzle are like part of the Illuminati, that they meet with the Bilderbergers? No. But I believe that spirits are controlling their conspiracy, is what I think. And I think images come to people's mind. They call it creativity. But I think images come to people's mind, and that's what they envision. And remember, it all starts with the imagination. So that's why these images are being cast into the minds of men. So that now that we're imagining it, now we're going to make sure that it happens. The whole Pokemon thing, Digimon, Frontier Hybrids, and Digivolution has to do with hybrids and evolution and on and on. It's inundating our children. Now, let me kind of show you where I'm going with this. Here's a picture of DNA. I took a snapshot of my DNA. No, not really. This is a model of what DNA is, the double helix that stands for the Old and New Testament joined together by the four base pairs, which are the four Gospels. And David said, "Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being imperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." So DNA is a book where all your members are written in. And the first occurrence of this word book, and remember, if it's a book, God wrote it. Okay? He said, this is the book of the generations of Adam. So here the Bible is establishing for you the fact, in two places, that the book of God has everything to do with man's genetics, his generations, his genes, has everything to do with that. So here we have the book of the generations of Adam. That's the very first occurrence of the word book in the Bible, and God is establishing a pattern for you. Look at these other verses here. Psalm 69:28. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living, whose names are, Philippians 4:3, whose names are in the book of life. Luke 8:11. Now the parable is this: the seed is the word of God. So think about what is being said here, all the things that God is putting together for us to understand in these last days. The seed is the Word of God. This is the seed, the genetics of mankind right here. And God said, Revelation 22, look at this. And by the way, I got to stop right here. I like this. Revelation, the word for the number for revelation is 22. The number 22 means revealing. Man, I just like this. Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. That's 22 times 3, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And here we are in the 22nd chapter of the 66th book of the Bible, whose number means revelation. And there are, when your DNA groups together to form genes, it forms amino acids to make these genes. And those amino acids are like the letters of the alphabet. Actually, they're the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. There are exactly 22 of them, those amino acids that write the book of our genetic structure. God's a genius. You know what? So he says in Revelation 22, get this, for I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things. What? Add unto the book. God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. These scientists that are messing around with this DNA, they're in danger. 19, and if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. And so here it is. God is warning us against exactly what is happening right now. God's warning us. And so we see hybridization everywhere. We see evolution everywhere. We see fusion everywhere. We see DNA. You know, companies talking about quality service. It's in our DNA. They're putting this stuff out for everybody. And now it's moving into the church. Here is, and I appreciate Michael down in Florida for helping me do this research. He always does a tremendous job, and I appreciate it. Look at how the churches now are marketing this DNA concept. They're talking about healthy church DNA. And look here. Imagine your church. You get that, right? Okay? Imagine your church. Healthy church DNA. They have an article here that says transitioning church models. There are many traditional expressions of the church in the U.S. that are attempting to transition to become more organic or missional. I don't have time to explain organic, but organic. There are two types of spirit that are running this world. There is the God of order. When a man plants a field, how does he do it? He puts everything in rows. Okay? It's in rows. When nature plants a field, how does it do it? It's just like all over the place. There's no order, there's no structure to it. It's just nature's way. When they use the term organic in describing the church, you need to understand what spirit then that is. When they use the term organic in describing the church, you need to understand what spirit that is. It is the spirit of the earth, not the spirit of heaven. So anyway, instead of calling them transitional churches, I like to call them transfusional churches. Transfusion, having something fused in. The reason for this is that the idea of transitioning implies simply modifying a model or a system, and we have found that this world would be useless without a transfusion. Look at this, of healthy DNA. I'm telling you, Daniel chapter 2 is going to come to pass, and they're using the churches to forward this agenda. The problems our churches face in the West are not structural, strategic, or mechanical. And a mechanical fix is not a fix at all. The problem is a lack of life in the core, or perhaps a more diplomatic way to describe it is that they are lacking some healthy DNA. So every transition begins not with a structural change, but with a transfusion of holistic, that's a New Age term, and healthy disciples infused with the DNA. I just can't believe it. Changing your church's model or mechanical structure is trying to take like trying to take a pill to fix your DNA. It can't be done. But if we could somehow fix someone's DNA, I would imagine we would need a more viral approach that brings change one cell at a time. To do that, you would first need to introduce a healthy DNA cell that is capable of reproducing. Listen, folks, this is from a church website. I'm telling you, a familiar spirit has channeled these ideas and these concepts, and they're out there, people. So I want you to get this. Albert Pike talked about, when he was talking about the Grand Arcanum, he talked about a speck of the divine powder, he called it. The divine powder. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I know it has something to do with they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And we know enough about stem cells and all this stem cell research, that a stem cell has the ability, once it's in the system, to recreate itself and to change the entire system. That's what they're getting at, folks. And this is not coming out of a laboratory somewhere. This is coming out of the church. Here we have a missional community formation network called Transform. See that little swirly gig there? There's 3 of them. There's one that's white and dark and sort of, it's gray on my paper. It's probably red on the screen. But anyway, that's 3-strand DNA. That's the Fibonacci spiral for DNA. Transform. And there's our buddy Brian McLaren, who is the ringleader of all this. Here we have a conference, a National New Church Conference called Exponential, and it starts in the heart of one, and it's all talking about transformation. And there is a speaker at this by the name of Dan Rizzo who is going to give a sermon or a speech on what's called Servolution. Servolution is not an event, it is a culture. Infusing this culture into the DNA of your church will change the view of the world and your perspective of the needs of those around you. When they're talking about changing your DNA, they're always talking about transforming you and changing your outlook. And what they're saying is that this model that you and I operate in right now, of the model of the Scriptures, seeing the world through Scriptural eyes, that's not good enough. You need to have your DNA changed so that your third eye is opened and you see things the way the devil promised Eve she would see things back in the Garden of Eden. It is unbelievable what's going on, but believe it, because this is going on. Here's one called DNA Coaching. Church planning, leadership development, church transformation. The DNA in every cell contains the essential information that defines who we are. Vital churches, like healthy bodies, have healthy DNA in every member of the body. Unity on the core values, bedrock beliefs, vision, and motivating mission creates a permission-giving spirit and a positive ministry environment. DNA coaching exists to support your efforts to create this positive DNA, in you. It's not there yet, but we got to create it. We got to put it in there. And I'm telling you that probably, you listen to this, probably 90 to 95% of the ministries in this country, big money ministries, are going to lead. And I'm telling you, when I do this video this afternoon on contemplative prayer, I'm going to name names. I'm going to name names of people that you probably sent money to that are supporting contemplative prayer. And contemplative prayer is all about a bringing a state of drunkenness to the church so that they will receive familiar spirits, and out of this will come the beast. I'm telling you, that's where it's headed, folks. And I'm telling you, probably 90 to 95% of the big ministries, nearly every denomination or large ministry in this country has already been infiltrated with this stuff. You watch for it because it's out there. And I'm not just saying, trust me, okay? Just trust me and you'll be okay. I'm not telling you to trust me. Don't trust me. Go to the Word of, be a Berean. Go to the Word of God to see if these things are true or not. Here's another church, Metrobrook Church. They have DNA groups, Divine Word, Nurturing Relationships, Apostolic Mission. Now, I am going to stop right here. Do I believe in the apostles? Yes. One was named Peter, one was named Paul, one was named James. There was another one, but those are the apostles. I'm sorry, there are no more apostles, and I don't care who says they are or who or who says that there still are. I'm telling you, there are no more apostles. Those guys were the founders of the faith of Jesus Christ that you and I now rest upon today. I'll tell you who is leading the charge of this new apostolic stuff. Who is it in the world that for 2,000 years now, or let's say 1,500 years now, 1,600 years now, has been calling themselves the apostle, the chief apostle? It's the Pope. All of this is coming straight out of the Vatican. So when you see someone saying, oh, I'm an apostle, or we're going to have apostolic leadership or apostolic mission, I'm telling you, the source is the greatest harlot in this world, the Roman Catholic Church. I'm telling you that. So that's, it's about changing authority from the apostles of the Bible to the apostles of the New Age. That's what this DNA transfer is all about. Let's see here. Here is a guy, and I don't have the video, but I have a clip of it, just a picture of it. A guy talking about the DNA of the church. His name is Neil Cole. And I watched this video, and you could probably YouTube this and find it. He defines the DNA of the church as the place where heaven connects with earth. I don't need any more evidence, okay? This is where we're headed. I have never been one of these people that say, see, I was right. I was right. When you're right about something, you're supposed to be humble about it. You're supposed to be glad that you were right. You're supposed to be sad that somebody else was wrong. And I will tell you that I am really not happy that I'm right on this. I'm not. Some things you'd rather not be right about. And I would rather not be right about this. I would rather wake up one day and God show me from the Bible that Mike, you're an idiot. I would really like that, because that would mean that we're not where we are right now in this world. Okay? But I'm right. Here's the Journey Church, and I want you to notice behind the Journey Church they have 3 spiraling bands and an X chromosome. That's 3-strand DNA. And here's their DNA statement. This is what defines their church. Here's the church. The spiritual DNA of evangelists changing. Some 3,000 people are expected to participate in Evangel Church-initiated Good Friday activities this year, both inside and outside the church. Richmond is tasked with, in effect, helping the 15,000-strong Pentecostal church to alter its spiritual DNA. The alteration process, levels, stages, he confesses will take years and is, by definition, a little difficult to describe in a few words. That's because they don't want anybody to know the truth of what's going on. The Free Will Baptists are having a conference this year called the D6 Conference, and they make it sound like, oh, it's going to help families get back with the Bible, and it's going to bring our kids, and it's going to change a marriage. It's going to transform the church. And notice the promotional video, and you can YouTube this. The promotional video for this is, how do I change the DNA of our churches? And I'm telling you, from the largest of denominations to the smallest of denominations, the change is a-coming, my friend. Here is, remember that Ford commercial we used last week, the Ford Mustang, a whole new breed? Here is the new breed church. Even their logo uses DNA. Hybrid Christian Ministries. Innovative, informative, intimate. I know that says intimate. Remember, this intimacy spirit is not the spirit of the Holy Spirit. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Harlots wear what they call intimate apparel. It all has to do with sex. That's what it's all about. And remember, Mystery Babylon has in her hand a cup of the wine of her what? Of her fornication. That's where it's going. Hybrid Christian Ministries. And here I have a blank page. Okay? Anyway, here's a church, I think. The Emerging Church, something like that. I don't know exactly. Maybe it's for a conference. 5 hard truths for church planners, and rule number 3 is to think hybrid. Now I'm going to show you what this article says. Good guys, bad guys, yes or no? Black or white, football or polo? Now I'm going to stop right here. Remember Baphomet. He is the fusion of opposites. Remember God. He's not. God is not male and female. God's not the man, woman. He's not the he, she. It's not God and his wife Shekinah. God is male. That's what the Bible says. That's what the whole Bible says. The God that is both male and female is Baphomet. He is the God of transformation. He is the fusion of opposites together. God said to take things that are opposite and separate them. Now, this is coming right out. This is indicative of what we're seeing in the church. So this guy writes an article, says yes or no, black or white, football or polo. Most of us prefer a world in which the good guys wear white hats and the bad guys wear black hats, but that's usually not the case. Listen to this. The truth usually lies somewhere in between. Get the wording here. The truth lies. Now he's not saying like lie down. The truth lies, opposites, somewhere in between. That's what these guys are going around telling everybody. If you read more than one translation, you'll hear God's voice somewhere in the middle of them. Listen to that spirit. So he says, think hybrid. I would encourage taking a different path. Think hybrid. In other words, think that yes can be no and no can be yes. And truth can be false and false things can be true. That's where they're going. So think sons of God fusing with daughters of men, creating a hybrid race. That's exactly what it's talking about. The DNA infusion. Youth with a mission. Here it is. Big ministry. All these kids going to what they know. They know. The kids in the church know that all they're going to is a rock concert. But they wrap it up in, we're going to have missionaries. We're going to send money to Africa. We're going to do all these we're going to feed little kids with their bellies swollen out. That's what we're going to do. Now, these kids know they're going to a rock concert, but it's setting them up. It's setting them up. And good preachers have been preaching against this stuff for years. I, unfortunately, spent time in my life where I didn't preach against it. I preached for it. And I have a lot of repenting to do. And so youth with a mission, DNA infusion. That's the name of their 3-week concert. The article says, as we talk about DNA, we will discuss the core foundations of who we are and who we are created to be. Moving on down, he said, we strongly encourage you to come to the DNA infusion. You will not want to miss a single session during these 3 weeks, because we're certain that this is not simply a conference, but a time of impartation. Have you heard that word before? Impartation. Let me give you an impartation. Don't let any man lay hands on you suddenly. Okay? What a dangerous world we live in, people. What a wicked, terrible, terrible time. We're going to have to come out of the big ministries. We're going to have to come out. We're going to have to come out. Some people don't like that. Some people want to hang on. I don't listen. If you want to hang on as long as you can. Hang on as long as you can. But at some point, okay, there's a line. God always draws lines. Okay? And God said it's either here or there. Now I will tell you that the shepherd is already separating the sheep from the goats. He's already doing it, people. And I'm going to ask you, whose side are you going to be on? I decided that I couldn't go along with a denomination that was wanting to change our church's DNA. And I knew what that meant even before I knew all this stuff. I knew that I couldn't go along with a denomination that would not promote this King James Bible. So we decided, God, please put us over here in the sheep column. That's what we did here. I want to encourage you to pray and seek the Lord like you never have. Turn to Him for all your problems, for all your cares, for all your help. Keep your eyes open of what's going on. Keep your eyes open on this oil spill. Keep your eyes open on this military thing. I mean, here we are looking at North Korea, Iran, and Afghanistan. I'm telling you, there's things that are brewing. And we need to have our eyes open in these last days. I love you. We're going to send out our Watchers packets next week. Hopefully we got a family, some friends of ours coming all the way down from New York to help us out. Man, do we appreciate that. We thank everybody for helping us. We're sending out, I don't know how many, 200, I think Alicia said 260 packets. each with about 4 or 5 discs in it a piece. You can do the math on that. We're sending out quite a bit. Some pay little, some pay more, some don't pay at all. We want to be a blessing. We're sending these to Africa. They're using them all over the place out there. We want you to copy them, get them out, let people hear what God is showing us in these last days. This is Pastor Mike. If you want to get on that list, just call or write us or send us an email. Pastor Mike, put me on the list. Give us your postal address, and if you can, a monthly donation. I'm telling you, it really, really helps us out here. We're still about the smallest church in this area, but God is using us in a great way, and we are very humble about that. We're very thankful. God bless you. I love you. It's Pastor Mike. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.